Hey guys, let's talk about last night's episode of Almost Human. And I actually really liked this episode, even though, once again, it was like a standalone episode and we're only two episodes from the end. So there were some things that I liked, and then some things I still have like tons of questions about. But in this episode, there was a death of a crone. And what was so suspicious about it is that they said that this crone had died of natural causes, like a heart attack. And Stahl knows that Crohn's are not supposed to die young. They're basically genetically engineered to live a long, prosperous life. They're not really supposed to have any health issues, and that's one of the reasons why people pay so much money to have genetically enhanced children. And her being a Crohn, she knows a lot about this. So the three of them, Kennex, Dorian, and Stahl, are on the case, and they head to this club, which is kind of like, a private club for clones, or crones, sorry. And I actually really liked the scene that Stahl had with the leader of this crone club, because they were basically one-upping each other. And one of the things with crones is they're very, I guess, uptight about people who are crones and don't choose to live the life that you're supposed to, which is sort of like a doctor, a lawyer. You're supposed to have like, you're basically genetically enhanced to live the best life possible. And so for her to be a cop is like, what are you doing? And she gets a lot of backlash because of that. And so she has a very interesting one-on-one spar with the leader of this club. And she stands her ground, and it was good because we finally got a little bit of insight into who Stahl is and who she can be. So she ends up meeting this gentleman who is also a crone and works at this club, or is a member of this club. And, they have a couple little flirty exchanges, and we end up seeing him towards the end of the episode. And they, I guess, are going out on a date, which is kind of fine for me because I personally don't really want to see them push Kennex and Stahl together, at least not yet. I mean, who knows if this show's going to even get picked up for a second season. But for me personally, I think that rushing it is not the way to go, and letting them develop as friends first would be the way to go. And so one of the things that was the underlying thread in this episode was the case of the week, and that involved this guy who was killing people as he was stealing parts of their body, I guess you could say. So instead of getting plastic surgery, there's a way that you can have this procedure done where they inject you with something, and it basically takes on the form of somebody else. And people had been dying, and I guess when they were doing the study for it, people had been having cardiac arrest issues from this drug that they were given. And this man was going around and basically injecting them with something that would steal something that he wanted, and then he would then take it and inject it into himself. So he was basically trying to create the perfect face. And we found out towards the end of the episode the whole reason he was doing this was because he had met a woman online who clearly he had fallen in love with. And when he met her for the first time, he wanted to have this perfect face. He obviously wasn't happy with what he looked like and was trying to get the person. So he was getting like green eyes and like changing the way of his nose and his lips and his jaw and all this craziness. So then when he finally meets her, she's blind. And so they had this really great exchange where, she was saying to him she didn't want to tell him that she was blind because she had fallen in love with him, and she didn't want him to find out and then not want to be with her. And so it was like he had gone through all of this for nothing because she couldn't even see his face. And again, it just goes to show you, beauty is always skin deep. And, she had fallen in love with the person who he was, blah, 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 and not what he looked like, because she never even saw what he looked like. And obviously he never really showed her because he was constantly trying to upgrade his face, so to speak. So everybody's like hot on his trail, and then they have this really sweet moment where they kiss, and you're kind of like, oh, it's too bad that she fell in love with a creeper because clearly he's cuckoo. He's killing everybody for their beautiful faces. And so when he gets caught, he runs away, and then he's standing on the ledge of the building, and he says to Kennex, "Have you ever been in love?" And Kennex, of course, replies, "Yes." And he says, "Well, then you wouldn't understand." And he says, "We're all meant to be loved." And then he jumps off the building and kills himself. So I mean, his days were numbered anyway. So he's basically like, "I might as well just take my life." And it was really sad because that is one of the things that a lot of people go through. They go through body issues and all that kind of stuff. And in this case, it was to the 10th extreme. But it was really cool how they used the technology in this episode to show what the future could be like, without people having to go under the knife and have scars and everything on their faces. They're basically just, in pain internally, but you don't see the scars on the outside. So, is that the way of the future? Who knows? But it was kind of cool that they explored this potential, way that the future could be. Now, the problem that I had with this episode was, again, we have been hinted at with stuff with this in Syndicate. We've been hinted at stuff with things with his ex-girlfriend. We've been hinted at stuff with the wall and, Dorian's maker, the doctor. And we got none of it in this episode. I mean, they mentioned a brief thing about the wall because the midget that or the little person who had come out of the body, Kennex had threatened to put him over the wall, but we still have so many unanswered questions at this point. And I believe there's only one episode left. So, I just don't know what this last episode is going to do for us, like how much impact it's going to have on us when we've got so many balls up in the air. I get that they wanted to maybe focus more on the Kennex and Dorian relationship, which works very well. There was a lot of great stuff in this episode, again, between the two of them. And, him talking about his personality and his faults and stuff like that. And then Rudy, hilarious as always, talking about why he was not warned about this man going around killing beautiful people because he could clearly be in jeopardy of being killed. And it was just like, really? But it was just a hilarious moment. So all that kind of stuff works. And they really worked a little bit on Stahl in this episode, which was good. Maldonado, seriously, when is she going to get out behind the desk? I mean, every case she's just standing in her office asking questions. It's like, what a waste. But yeah, so I feel like the major story arcs are just not happening. Standalone episodes have been good. Like, this episode was good, the one last week was good, the week before was good, but they're just not succinct with one another, and it's just, who knows where it's going to go? I have no idea. So if this show does get picked up for a second season, I hope they have a well-planned out story that they plan on telling with some good story arcs and some plot development, because right now, I ain't really seeing it. Let me know what you thought of this episode of Almost Human. I mean, I did enjoy it for the most part. But again, like, one of the things that's driving me crazy is that there really is no story arc happening. And there's so many questions in the air and not enough answers. And I just don't know if that's enough, to get us through a season. Anyways, let me know what you thought. Leave a question down below, comment, like, subscribe, all those things. And I'll see you next week. Okay, bye guys.